which, as we can see, this food doesn't have any fiber whatsoever because it's milk. Does milk have fiber? No. So we can't subtract half of it if it's greater than 5 grams. Then sugar. Anything that ends in ose, dextrose, maltose, fructose, that is a sugar. And then we can look at any other sugars that are in there. So that's the things that you need to look at on a food label. Protein. Anything that has 7+ grams of protein in it is a good source of protein. Milk has 8 grams of protein per serving, and 1 serving of milk is 8 ounces. That's 1 cup. So milk is a good source of protein. I like milk as a protein source. I drink milk every single day. Here's an example. 1 muffin. And there are 2 servings per container in this 1 muffin. So the total number of carbohydrates in 1 serving is 31 grams. So if we eat the entire package, which most of us probably would, it would be 62 grams of carbohydrate. There would be 6 grams, which we would be able to subtract that. Where's my backspace key? We would be able to subtract that, then it would be 56 grams of carbohydrate, which for most of us would be way over our number of grams of carbohydrate for breakfast. For any snack, that would be a dinner, if not more than a dinner serving, because it's greater than 5 grams of fiber in 1 serving. If it's greater than 5 grams, then we can subtract it. So because it's greater than the 5 grams, we can get rid of it. So 62 minus 6 would be 56. But even still, for most of the dinner meal plans that I've done, you get 60 grams of carbohydrate. 2 muffins for dinner isn't really realistic for most people that I know of, because these muffins are probably about this big. Knowing the packaged muffins that you get, they're usually pretty small. So I don't know how feasible that is for most people, but that's just me. I don't think that would go very far for me. Now, free foods. This is the main question that I get asked anytime I do a diabetic education. What else can I eat? Because when I do a diabetic education, everybody wants to know, okay, this doesn't seem like enough food for me. What else can I eat? So I brought handouts on that too, because everybody always wants to know. Foods with less than 20 calories and less than 5 grams of carbohydrate per serving are considered free foods. Example C free foods list, and I brought that with me. Non-starchy vegetables, and here's where your question comes in. Lettuce is on there. Tomatoes, cucumbers, those are all non-starchy vegetables. Sugar-free Jell-O, sugar-free popsicles, low-calorie drinks, watered flavored water, diet soda. But you want to limit them to 1 or 2 servings at one time and no more than 3 per day. And that's why I say even after a while they start to add up. Because if you're consuming a lot of them at one time, they will start to add up. Sugar-free Jell-O contains 5 calories. So if you're consuming 3 sugar-free Jell-Os at one time, then that contains 15 calories. It will start to have a carbohydrate content that you will have to count. So the same thing with 3 cups of lettuce. If you're having one of those gigantic salads from Cosi with all of the fixings, when you start to add it up, it will start to contain carbohydrates that you'll have to count. Okay? So even though it doesn't contain carbohydrates, if you're having green beans, if you're having broccoli and a small salad with your dinner, then you'll have to add that as 1 carbohydrate serving, because you've got 3 non-starchy vegetables. Does that question make sense? Okay. Fiber. Most kinds of fiber don't make your blood sugar go up. Here's more foods that are listed that are high in fiber. I'm not going to go through them. You guys can read. Whole grains are good for you. Kashi, the Kashi cereal is very high in fiber, and some of them actually taste really good. The soluble fiber is the one that helps lower your blood glucose. Oatmeal, dried beans, apples, citrus fruits. The insoluble fiber is the one that keeps you regular, moves through your body. Whole grains and cereal are examples. Sugar substitutes is another question that I get asked about a lot, and whether or not they're good for you. Should I be using them? And these are the different examples of sugar substitutes. Acesulfame K is the third one that's listed on there, and it was taken off the market about 5 or 6 years ago and just came back on in the last year or two, and has become a lot more popular. You'll see it in diet soft drinks again, and it's one that will not really affect your blood sugar too much. And stevia is an herb that is also, you can find it in health food stores. You don't see it really in too many products, but just to let you guys know that it is a sugar substitute that is out there. Sugar alcohols. Examples are sorbitol, mannitol, xylitol, and maltitol. They have half the calories of sugar, and they will impact your blood sugar. So you will have to count them a little bit if you're doing carb counting. So even though the food manufacturers say that you do not have to count them and they won't affect your blood sugar, they will. In order to do that, just calculate half the sugar alcohols that's on the food label, and that is how you would incorporate that into your food plan. Sugar-free foods. Just because it's sugar-free doesn't mean it has zero carbohydrates, because it can. Sugar-free still has flour. Sugar-free cookies doesn't mean carbohydrate-free. So carb counters still have to count them. Sugar-free Jello pudding might still have carbohydrates because of that milk that's in there. So you still have to count the carbohydrates. And compare the labels. Just sugar-free cookies might not taste as good as the regular cookies. The serving size might still be the same for 2 less carbohydrates per serving. It might cost a lot more for those sugar-free cookies. Go for whichever one tastes better. That's my answer, because go for cost, go for taste, because you might not be saving much in terms of carbohydrates. No sugar added. There's a lot of no sugar added juices now out on the market that are appealing to parents who are trying to save their children the sugar in the juices. So just because the carbohydrate comes from the fruit in the juice, so that doesn't mean that it's not going to affect your blood sugar either. So still look at the food label again, because it's going to affect your blood sugar. And now, since it's summertime, there are more of us out and about. We're all walking around, wandering around, and it's a good thing. Exercise is good for you. I know I have a hard time exercising when it's hot outside. I have a hard time exercising when it's cold outside. But exercise is good. It gives you energy, and it helps your blood sugar. So we should be checking our blood sugar when we're exercising, before we're exercising, during exercise, and after exercise. And it helps you maintain your weight. It makes your heart, it's good for your heart. It's good for your long-term cardiovascular health. It makes your body strong, and it's good for your bones too. And it's fun. We all need to get out and exercise. I'm guilty of it right now. I think it's too hot when I get home from work, so I have to wait a little bit until it cools off. So even if it's just for a walk around the block, it's still good to get out and exercise. Now, dining out. I put this in here at the end because I know that dining out can be difficult for everybody, because restaurants don't have food labels on the menu. and it's a difficult thing to do because you don't always know what to choose. And I know how much restaurants put on the plate, and it's usually 2 or 3 servings. It's more than what we would put on our plates at home at times, and the servings, we feel like we're paying a lot of money for food, and we feel like we have to clean our plates. But what I wanted, the other handout that I gave you guys is about the plate method. So I wanted to give you guys, separate from the actual handout that I gave you, with the plate method of things that you can do to help you learn how to eat when you're dining out. Just to give you an example, if you fill up your plate 1/3 to half with non-starchy vegetables, 1/4 to 1/3 to 1/4 with meat, and about 1/4 of starches, then that'll help you guys with how to keep your blood sugar in control when you're dining out. And this is one of the things that we recommend so that you can do that. You don't have to eat everything that's on there, but this will help so that you're not trying to figure out what to do when you're dining out. And this will just give you a different option. And then you're not like, okay, what should I do? Granted, this is more difficult to do at an Italian restaurant than anything, but I do have other options for dining out, for healthier choices to do. And another handout up here. I didn't want to bombard you guys with handouts beforehand, but I did have other options as well. And summertime barbecues, I know, are going to be very difficult. It's 4th of July is coming up next week, and we all don't know what to do for summertime barbecues. Hamburgers and hot dog buns basically have the same amount of carbohydrates, so you're stuck with that one. And you can choose either one, and that's going to count as 1 carbohydrate serving no matter what you do. The corn on the cob, you can always choose to eat half of it instead of eating that whole big long piece of corn on the cob, because that's going to be 2 carbohydrate choices. For anybody who counts carbohydrate, that's a lot of carbs for that big long piece of corn on the cob. So you can either stay away from it or count it. If you're in charge of bringing a dish for summer barbecues, make something up that's made with cucumbers and tomato. Make a cucumber and tomato salad with a vinaigrette dressing. That's one of my favorite things to eat. Or if you wanted to do a caprese salad, which is just like buffalo mozzarella and tomato with a balsamic vinaigrette, that's one of my other favorite things to make and bring, because you wouldn't have to count the carbohydrate that's in the cheese, and you wouldn't have to count, there's no carbohydrate in tomatoes, no carbohydrate in balsamic vinegar. So that would be another thing that you wouldn't have to count. So those would be 2 alternatives that you can do. 1/4 cup of blueberries is a free food, and as long as you use a little bit of light or fat-free whipped cream, then that would be a great dessert for you to choose. Different things like that, those are free foods. So you could have a nice little dessert, a nice summertime dessert, and nobody would even know that you have diabetes, and you could go from there. So free foods that you don't have to count, or once you add them all up, of course, you would have to count it as 1 carbohydrate choice, but they are low in carbs, and you could still eat regular food that anybody can enjoy at a barbecue. And really, that's all I have. Like I said, I'm going to try and make it short and sweet for you guys. But any questions? Yes, ma'am? I haven't really worked with many, but I'm sure I could work up some meal plans. I don't do outpatient counseling. I strictly do inpatient counseling. And everyone follows up outpatient through endocrine clinic. Any other questions? Okay, that's it. All of the handouts that I have are up here, and for dining out and trans fats, if you guys are interested in that.